So that is what happened yesterday as students from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology were protesting over insecurity at the university. So the protests went on for quite a couple of hours yesterday, police coming in to quell the protests. But the one thing that stood out in this particular protest were videos of 4 police officers who were caught on camera brutalizing a student during the protests. And that video has gone viral on social media, with Kenyans raising their concern on the brutality of the police. However, we are not able to show you that video because for those of you who've seen it, especially on social media, I can tell you it was gross. So what we do know at the moment is that the 4 police officers have so far been interdicted following the public uproar. That is the statement that came from the Inspector General of Police, Henry Mutyambai. He says the National Police Service wishes to inform that the 4 police officers who were caught on camera meting excessive force on JKUAT student have been identified and consequently interdicted from service as per police procedure. Further action and other internal disciplinary processes will follow the recommendations of the Internal Affairs Unit investigation. So far, that is what we know. The officers have been interdicted. And that brings us to the conversation we are having this evening. Do we have a police force? Do we have police officers, or do we have goons in uniform? Because this is not the first time we're seeing policemen do this kind of things, met this kind of attacks on students who are protesting, or even on wananchi out there who are protesting on different issues. And there was that conversation at some point that perhaps the police force had changed, that perhaps the police force has gotten better. Question is, has it? Looking at that video of the student from Jomo Kenyatta University that has been circulating on social media. So first of all, we want to get a response from the students themselves, and that is why I'm handing you over to Sophia Wanuna, who's a lead reporter this evening. She's speaking to a student leader from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Sophia, if you can hear me, I'd want to find out from the student leader. There's several allegations that have been leveled against the students by the police, including the fact that some of them are drug lords and some of them are drug barons, and some of them actually sponsored the protests that were seen yesterday. What is their take on how the police handle this thing specifically?
Indeed, good evening, Linda. That video going viral yesterday and putting on the spot the police, and you were talking about the force and the violence meted against this student captured in that video. And remember, following the promulgation of the Constitution 2010, the police changing their name from police force to service, because there were numerous cases of those kind of incidences where the police, in whether dealing with protests or demonstrations or whatever other situation, their force used to be excessive and sometimes would lead to serious injuries or even death in some instances. And so to talk a little bit more about this, because even following that report and statement from the Inspector General of Police about the interdicting of these officers captured in this video, there's still concern about who are the officers, release the number as far as the official numbers that identify them, so that it is formally known that indeed these people, action has been taken against them. And that just speaks to the suspicion that people do not even trust the authorities when they say they have taken the action they have stated in that statement. But let's talk more about just what transpired yesterday and what we've seen thereafter. I have with me 2 student leaders from JKUAT. I have the president of the union, that's Clinton Osoro, also Bruce Onduru, he's a secretary general. Thank you both for making time for the big story tonight. I'll begin with you, Clinton. And to the point of yesterday and what prompted the protests, you have spoken to the fact that there was student insecurity. So some wonder, did this then just did you just decide to go out to the streets following the insecurity, or what was that last trigger?
Thank you so much, Sophie. Just like everyone knows, JKUAT is a very serious university, and we love our studies. But like we've said previously, we really don't want to risk getting out of JKUAT with death certificates instead of degrees. So what happened is that we have been having a series of cases of insecurity that has been happening. And like I said even earlier, we have been engaging various stakeholders. We have spoken to the university administration. We have had countless meetings with the Juja Sub-County Security Committee. And even, in fact, the previous day, we had just had a meeting with the Juja Sub-County Security Committee, and we communicated to the students. We told them that, hey guys, we have been engaging the security committee, but just a few minutes, around 30 minutes after we have communicated that, there was a reported case of mugging. There were 3 ladies who were mugged, and one of them was beat very badly. She lost her conscience, and that was at 4 p.m. At 4 p.m., and we have just told the students that we are from the meeting with the security stakeholders. You see, at that time, the students now, their faith now in those boardroom meetings, I think at that time, now their faith died. I can say very confidently that was the point that the students, they were now triggered to now resort to something else. Okay. That now they decided to go to exercise their constitutional right, to go and peacefully express themselves through a demonstration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bruce, let me bring this to you. Paint for us a picture of what it is like student life at JKUAT, because this is not the only incident. There have been several before, and you said there have been even stabbings in the past. So in terms of the population, how many are on campus, off campus? Does this happen on campus as well?
Jomo Kenyatta University holds more than 30,000 students. And out of more than 30,000 students, around 2,700 students are held on campus. That tells you that the rest, who are around 2,800 students, are outside there, exposed, vulnerable, and living amidst a community that is harsh to them. So the situation being a Jomo Kenyatta University student is not good, especially when you're living outside the university, where students are easily mugged at any time. So students feel unsafe at any time of the day, not 6 a.m., not 4 p.m., not midnight. Yeah. So it is so unsafe right now until the police, county government of Kiambu, and the national government and the administration all in hand to do something about the situation.
But what do you say, and my colleague Linda was speaking to this just as she handed over to me, the accusations being leveled against you as a student population. The police saying there is in fact security provided. They're talking about drug lords and that the students are involved in this, and some of this is as a result of the infighting or whatever the case may be. What do you say to that? The problem is something else and not what you're speaking to.
We cannot deny for a fact that Juja is infested with drug that ranges from bang and there are allegations of heroin. And what I can say is that we cannot deny that there could be a link between the insecurity and the drug. But the police claim that the demonstration was a result of the drug barons is a lie, because students were outraged by the results of the events, the circumstances that have been happening. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 stabbings. Thank God none of the students have died. The day on Saturday when 3 ladies were attacked, we had just met the OCPD and the deputy OCPD. On Friday, before that Saturday, we had met the Juja Sub-County Security Committee, including the DCC, the DCIO, and the AP commander. So whatever led to the demonstration is the fact that students have lost hope in boardroom meetings, even the ones we've had with our university administration. So they feel that now that these boardroom meetings are not bringing up any fruits, let's express ourselves so that Juja community, which they believe is a result of their existence in JKUAT, because Juja basically runs because of the student population. If they cannot protect us and let us live in peace, then let them know that we are angry and we are tired of the stabbings and muggings.
Right. And you went to the police today, you spoke to the police spokesperson. Are you satisfied with the action taken today in regard to that video, the student that was attacked by the officers and now been reported they've been interdicted? Satisfied with that?
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that it is true. We had a chance to meet with the police spokesperson, and we have interacted with the government officials before, and even guys in management, and there is normally a lot of faith once you see the actual actions, because even right now we don't know who the policemen are. I don't know if you guys know them, but we don't know them, because if at all we are being honest with one another, we want to put them to justice, then I think it is only fair and it is in the spirit of transparency that their names be put public, and just normal, fair, due procedure be followed. If if they're found to have violated some human rights, which I believe they have, then the law should take its course and let charges be pressed against them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Bruce, the campus and university has been closed indefinitely. What happens now? Do you continue demonstrations? If it's reopened and you're told to go back to school, will the students return to learning?
Sophia, when students resorted to going to the streets, they were going for a peaceful demonstration. But that turned out to be a police attack against the students in coalition with the community. So we are not going to resort to other demonstrations, because it has proved that whenever we go to the street to peacefully express ourselves, we're the ones who are attacked. As a student leadership, what we are asking from the administration and all parties concerned, we are not going to advise our students to go back to normal learning when they're not sure of their safety. So until the county government of Kiambu ensure more lighting around Juja, then landlords of Juja put security lights on all dark alleys around Juja, until the police around Juja and the Juja sub-county increase their patrols and shift their focus from students having fun in pool areas, in FIFA areas, to genuine police patrols on hotspots where these stabbings are being done, then I don't think there is any reason for us to go back to learning at a time where we lose students, because the last time we lost a student was in February, but this time we don't want to wait until a life is lost. Let us speak out before one of us goes down or succumb to this. Yeah. So our demands are basic. Improve lighting. The police have to change their way, and we have to state clearly on live TV that the police have this tendency of every time a student leadership will engage them, they in return resort to threatening us by things that are not here or there, so that we calm down the students. It is clear that we have been calming students for 2 weeks in the eyes of stabbings.
Threatening you with what?
I want to say clearly that the police at times call us and tell us, well, in case students go on the streets, we will come for you single-handedly. We will not deal with masses, but will come for you, the student leaders. But you see, this is an outrage in a mass of students. It is not like any of us is telling them, guys, now go out. It is something that its time has come. Yeah. And there is nothing that we could do to prevent masses from going to the streets. So the police should focus on making Juja more secure rather than targeting student leaders who are innocent and labeling them with whatever instead of doing their job.
Yeah. And finally, Clinton, in terms of the responsibility of the school, what engagement and what are they saying? Because these are students in the university. So are they also engaging on your behalf with the authorities? Are they looking perhaps to increase the accommodation in the campus? Because responsibility also does lie with the administration.
Yes, like I said, we have had several meetings with the university, just like the Juja Sub-County Security Committee. And the way you are saying, I am also hoping that they've been engaging on our behalf, because up to this moment right now, what I can attest is that we have made them aware that the following things are the ones that are making students to feel insecure. And the first one, that I think the university and even the government can help the university, because at some point we have had this case of limited funds from the governments come in, is the issue of in-campus accommodation. You see, right now, in fact, all the cases that we have had right now, all the insecurity cases, all the muggings, the stabbings, all of them are happening outside campus. And the reason is, like you've heard from the statistics, from 35,000 students the general population being 35,000 students, and the ones that are being accommodated inside the campus are just around 2,700 to around 3,000 students. So all these other people are going to live outside. If we can find a way, which I know that we can because JKUAT has a lot of land, let us build more hostels. And I want to encourage the University Council, the UMB, the Senate, to embrace even public-private partnerships, because this is something that can be a solution to this problem. If the university cannot generate funds, we can look for investors to come and build hostels inside the university, because that will really help solve the problem. It will reduce how many students are being vulnerable outside there, and at the same time, it will ensure that more students are secure. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Clinton and Bruce. We appreciate your time here on The Big Story tonight, both student leaders at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. And we saw earlier on, even as the authorities went to look at just what transpired, other student leaders from other universities joining them and saying if in fact these demands and their concerns are not addressed, then indeed they will continue to support them to push for the same. So we will wait to see how this unfolds in coming days, Linda.
Sophia, but see, for me, the thing that actually stands out is that these are students who are protesting against insecurity. And then police force or police service, police officers who are supposed to ensure they're safe, come in, and we see the kind of attack, we see the kind of response the police came in, specifically with the video that was doing round. And that is a concern, because these are students who are demonstrating for what is their right in the first place. But Sophia, thank you. So let's now bring in George Msamali. Msamali is a security analyst and a consultant. This is why I want to speak to Msamali, because Msamali has been in the police service. He understands how this works. Because I want to break down this into three pieces. So one, we've heard from the students, they're saying, we are insecure, we need this addressed. So I want to speak to Msamali. He's been in the force. What normally happens when police are deployed in such scenarios? And later on, I'll speak to Demas Kiprono from Amnesty International. This is not the first case. Someone tweeted and said it's not the first case, it will not be the last. So what is the way forward from them? Because they also released a statement today. And while we are at it, we've just received a statement as well from IPOA. So George, thank you for joining us and for speaking to us on The Big Story. Let me start from the fact that Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutembai, says the 4 officers have been interdicted. There will be disciplinary action, despite Kenya saying what we need are names of these officers and we need their service numbers so that for once there's accountability.
And Linda, remember, at this point, this is still an internal affair. And I don't think it will be right for the police to release the name of the police officers that have so far been interdicted. The normal procedure is we have the National Police Standing Orders. They clearly stipulate how a disciplinary action should be taken against errant police officers. So I don't think it's right now for these names to be released until they have completed their own investigation. And if the police officers are found guilty, then internal disciplinary measures should be taken. But on the other hand, you'll find that this was an assault causing bodily harm to a student. And this is itself criminal. It's found in the penal code laws of Kenya. And before any action is taken by the police, we must have a complainant. So it's up to the students who are injured by the police to go and make a formal complaint, have an OB number, go and get treated, get what we call a P3 form, and then the police then can go ahead, do their own investigations, now criminal investigations, and then arraign the suspects in court. I think that is the process now that is supposed to be followed. And as it stands, we're still waiting to see if the students will have the guts to go and make a formal report so that the police can swing into action, investigating that incident now as a crime.
Msamali, I was speaking to some students and they were saying, look, it's very difficult because we're being asked to go and report police officers to fellow police officers. I mean, we're not going to get justice at the end of the day, are we?
That's why we have the Independent Police Oversight Authority. These are the people that are supposed to take action. If a member of the public feels like if he goes and makes a report in a normal police station, normal scenario, he will not get justice, then we have 2 organs. We have the Independent Police Oversight Authority, and inside the police service, we have the Internal Affairs Unit. This is where members of the public are expected to go and file complaints. Investigations will be done, recommendations will be made, and if people are to be arrested, then they will be arrested and arraigned in court. I think let's follow that due process and see how far it will get us.
The police, the other avenues that you can use. But Mr. Mali, you've been in the service and you understand how orders are given, how they trickle down. There's so many people pointing an accusing finger at Hillary Mutyambai, saying you need to tame the people working under you. So when such things like protests happen at the university, what sort of debrief do police officers get, really?
Linda, what I would say is that we have a way that police are trained to deal with crowd control. And remember, a crowd is not riotous until it's declared so. Two wrongs don't make a right. I heard the county commander saying that the students were throwing stones, they were damaging property, they were hitting vehicles. But the way the police reacted is not professional, because there are ways that police are trained on how to deal with a riotous mob. And the first thing is that this riotous mob is supposed to be cautioned and told that now you become riotous and you are requested to disperse peacefully. If they don't, then other measures are put in place. So what we say and what we saw clearly is that there was excessive use of force. And remember, the motive has always been to disperse the crowd. And if people are dispersed, if people are running away, then you don't need to follow them and brutally assault them. That is against the law. So I think what we need to call into question right now is the police command, the leadership, the police leadership. How were these people deployed? How were they briefed? What was the briefing? Did we have operational orders that allowed these people to go out there, the police to go out there? And what action were they told to go and take once they're out there? So apart from saying that we are punishing the individual police officers that actually brutalized the students, we should also look at the command structure of the police. And number two also, let us look at the kind of training that we are giving our police officers. Is it adequate? Because we said we need to reform the police. The reforms were to include to have an independent police, and then we should have a people-friendly police service. That is why we no longer refer to it as the Kenya Police Force, but we're saying now this is the National Police Service. I think so many things are coming out here, and I think this particular incident has really come out because there was that video clip. So there's much, much more that is going on down here that we are not aware of.
Mr. Mali,
the police has not changed.
You see, Kenyans are talking about this, and we are actually having this conversation because someone went out of the way and recorded this video and put it on social media. So if this had not been recorded, this young man who was assaulted by 4 police officers, this would have been water under the bridge. I understand he was arrested, spent a couple of hours at the police station, his mother pleading with the police officers to try and get him out, even get him medical attention. That did not happen. So we are having this conversation because someone recorded this, but there's so much more that needs to be reformed within the police service.
There's much, much more, Linda, as you say, because apart from this brutality that we witnessed in crowd control, there are other cases which are coming up. Members of the public are complaining about extrajudicial killing. These have not been addressed, and you'll find that the police commander has always come up with excuses telling us that these are armed young men and we need to deal with them like such. You'll find that this particular student was not armed. In fact, he was subdued. He was outnumbered. And the best the police could have done was to arrest him and then take him to the police station. And then if there are any charges they would refer against him, open these charges. But what we saw was an overzealous crowd of policemen who felt like the best solution to such a problem was to clobber this young man, this young lady senseless. And I think what I see here is we need actually to deworm the police command. That is where the problem is. Because officers, when they go out there, they go on command. If you read the Riot Act, it clearly says that the person in charge of a riot squad is supposed to be an inspector of police and above. And if anything goes wrong, this is a person that is supposed to be held responsible. And if we let these people go scot-free like that, nobody is taking responsibility. The county commander is saying that the police officers did the right thing, yet what we are seeing is that everything was done outside the law, the premise of the law. then something is wrong with the police command.
I hear you. George Msamali, stay with me. I'd like to speak to you again towards the tail end of this conversation. And I like what you're saying. We know that 4 officers have been interdicted. George Msamali says, I mean, it shouldn't end at that. You have a police command. There was someone giving orders. Who is that person? What has happened to that person? Has any action been taken on that person, apart from the 4 police officers? You're watching The Big Story. When we come back, we'll speak to Devas Kiprono from Amnesty International. They gave out a press statement as well today, and I'd like to pick his mind as well.